All right, you guys. Thank you guys so much for being here. We're going to talk about creative financing strategies. And most of you guys on here, I'm very familiar with, and you guys have um, been in some of these classes with me. So you guys have an idea of what creative financing is. We just have to put the lessons into action. And I will tell you guys that probably 90% of all the properties that I buy now, I'm using some type of creative financing strategy. It's very rare that I go to the bank and get financing. I'm either doing subject to, which is my favorite, um, seller financing. I do a lot of novations. Novations is not part of this, but if you have questions at the end about novations, I can talk about novations, but I do a lot of novations now. Lease options, hard money lenders, using hard money lenders, private lenders. It's going to come a time in your career where you're going to need cash, that you're going to start finding deals and you're going to want to stop wholesaling all your deals. And so my advice to you is to start finding hard money lenders, start finding private lenders that can lend you money, and then learn these strategies. So again, you guys, if you guys have questions, there's not a lot of us on here. You can either wait to the end or you can just unmute yourself and ask the questions. All right, why creative financing? Traditional financing can be restrictive and sometimes difficult to obtain. Oftentimes with creative financing, no one's checking your credit. No one's even checking to see how much cash you have. Every now and then, but for the most part, no one's checking those things. Creative financing allows you to leverage resources and expand your options. So you can expand, other people's resources. One of my real estate agents called me last week and asked me if I needed any money for any deals, that she had been a private lender for me in the past, and she's ready to do it again. Ideal for investors with limited capital or those looking for more flexibility. Um, and so the thing is, you find a property, you just have to put the deal together and just ask them, especially if it's more of a difficult deal. Creative financing strategies work the best, the more difficult they are, and can help you structure deals that wouldn't be possible with conventional methods. All right, the DMV overview. I will tell you guys that the DMV is one of the best areas. DMV, I consider between DC, PG County, and Baltimore, the best area for deals, because a lot of the homeowners are distressed and they need solutions to get out of their properties. As long as you can offer a viable solution, they're more than willing to take that. Varied real estate, so diverse real estate market with single family homes, multifamily, commercial. You can do, I was teaching my coaching students how to do lease options with midterm rentals. So midterm rentals, you can do lease options. And so you just got to know what you're doing. Incentives for investors, there's lots of incentives for investors. I talked about that last week. Surging real estate demand. There's huge demand now, especially since there's a perception that the market is getting better. And then there's lots of hidden gems. You just have to get out there and find them. And then when you find them, you want to offer them some type of creative financing strategy. So here's what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to be talking about subject to buying properties subject to the existing mortgage, keeping the existing mortgage on the property, lease options, renting the property for a year or two, and then buying the property, seller financing. I'll talk a little bit about a hybrid between seller financing and subject to. and then hard money lending and private lending. You've got to have all of these things in your arsenal and understand the importance of it um, uh, to get to where you want to go as a real estate investor. All right. Key creative financing strategies, private lending. And so we often talk about private lending and what's a private lender? A private lender is just someone like you or me willing to lend money for one's investment opportunity. That's what a private lender is. It's an individual. It's not a company. A company would be considered a hard money lender, but it's an individual. And so there's lots of individuals like I just said, they call me all the time because they know that I'm out here and I'm buying properties. And so they call me, they actually call me all the time, wanting to know if I need them to lend money. And so I lend money anywhere between 8 and 10%. And they're not going to get that anywhere else. And then I've got proof of concept, so they trust me. And so that's what a private lender is. And so you want to find as many private lenders as you can. All right, subject two. So with a subject two, let me give you an example. I had a townhouse in Fort Washington, Maryland, where the homeowner couldn't sell the property. I talked to the homeowner, and he had a tenant in there. He told me his numbers. He was behind in his mortgage. The mortgage was almost in default. So here's what I said to him. I said to him, if you get the tenants out, I'll buy your property. I'll take over your mortgage payments. I'll take over all the expenses. I'll fix the property up, and then I will sell the property. I'll give you, there's enough money in the deal. I'll give you $10,000 for signing the contract, and I'll give you another $10,000 to come to settlement because the property's still in his name. And so that's what we did. And so he finally got the tenant out. I spent about $30,000 in renovations, put the house on the market, actually sold for more than I thought it would sell, and gave him his 10 when he signed the contract, and gave him his the other 10 when we went to settlement. I always want to give them an incentive to come to settlement. I was talking to another investor, and they said the seller doesn't want to come to settlement. And I said, well, how much money are they leaving on the table? And he said, none. I gave him all of his money up front. So you don't do that. You don't do that. You have to give them an incentive to come to settlement. And so you take over their mortgage. Now, in this day and time, you're taking over a mortgage that's 2%, 3%. I ran across a subject to deal yesterday where in Oxon Hill, where the interest rate is 2%. And so I'm going to be offering, I'm waiting for my contractor to give me a quote. I'm going to be offering a subject to. And so that's basically what it is. And the reasons why I like subject to is because you can close a lot quicker. You can secure the lower interest rate. No need to qualify for the loan. Ideal for motivated sellers facing foreclosure. I did one out in Accokeek, Maryland, where I was able to bring the mortgage current, and the numbers still work. The numbers still have to work. You still have to use the Mayo formula. So the numbers still have to work, and it worked. I brought the mortgage current, gave her $5,000, and she was happy because she didn't think she was going to get anything. Gave her another $5,000 when we closed, and that was a good deal. There are risks. You can trigger what's called the due on sale clause. Now, the due on sale clause is a clause that the homeowner signs when they purchase the property, saying that if they sell the property up from under the bank, the bank can call the loan. They can call the loan. I personally haven't seen that happen, um, but it does happen. Uh, Subject to, because of Pace Morby, is become really, really popular now. But because of that, there's a lot of people who aren't doing it correctly. And there's insurance that you can get subject to insurance. You can put the best way to do it is convince the seller to put the property into a trust, a land trust. A land trust is not going to trigger the due on sale clause. And in that trust will be you and the homeowner. And our title company, Smart Settlements, Evelyn, she can do the paperwork for you. Any questions, you guys, on subject to? Any questions? All right, I must have explained that good. All right, lease option. I don't see a lot of you guys doing lease options. I did a lease option like early in my career. It was actually a property that I bought for myself. I've told this story before, but I was a young real estate agent. This is like 30 years ago. And I showed this particular property to my client. It was a dream home for me at the time. I'm 30 years old. It was a 4-bedroom, 2.5 bath, 2-car garage in the middle of a cul-de-sac in Bowie, Maryland, back to a lake. So for me at 30, it was a dream home. So I was hoping that they didn't want the property. And so they didn't. I found them something in Fort Washington. And so now my dilemma was, I'm young. I can't really afford the house. Let me try some type of creative financing. So I called the agent and said, I want to do a lease option for 2 years. And she talked to the seller. It was in a down market and they agreed. And so I rented the property out and actually moved into the property. But you can do a lease option, and you can do with also an option to sublet if you like. I didn't do that. I actually moved into the property. Long story short, 2 years later, I could now afford to purchase the property. So I got a mortgage on the property and bought that property and lived there for like 13, 14 years. And one of the best investments I'd ever made. Um, and and so that's a true definition of lease options. And so with these strategies, you guys, you just have to offer them. All they can do is say no. And you can get my help on putting the deal together. I'm happy to help you put the deal together. Seller financing is basically when we use seller financing in two ways. Number one, where there's no mortgage on the property. Generally, there's no mortgage whatsoever on the property. So we ask the seller to be the bank for us. We want the seller to be the bank. We're not going to a bank. We want the seller to be the bank. We want the seller to hold financing. Sometimes you're going to have to put down some type of deposit, and that's negotiated. The terms, they're negotiated as well. Keep in mind, generally speaking, there's no mortgage on the property. And so, so everything, all the terms is flexible. You've got a lot of flexibility when you're asking the seller to be the bank. Settlements are a lot faster. We can close within 2 weeks as soon as the title work is done. No need for bank approval. And you want to negotiate down the payment, the loan duration, and interest rates, all to your favor. And so that's what seller financing is. And I've done a number, especially in Baltimore, a number of seller financing deals. Um, let's see. Karen has a quick question. With lease options, did you have any upfront cost? Also, this can be done for primary residence, correct? Yeah. And so the scenario I gave you was for my primary residence. That was my first residence in Prince George's County. And there was no upfront cost. I just paid, I paid first month's rent security deposit. Now, sometimes, and I can't remember if I did this or not, but sometimes they will ask you to put up a non-refundable deposit. It's non-refundable. So if you don't close on the deal, the seller keeps the money. If you do close on the deal, that deposit, let's say it's 5,000, 10,000, goes towards the sale. But in that scenario, I don't think I don't remember putting up any money other than first month's rent security deposit. All right, so seller financing. And so one more thing about seller financing, you guys, you're going to run across properties that are not perfect for seller financing and are not perfect for subject to. And so we use a hybrid method. So let's say, for example, the homeowner has a mortgage on the property of 200,000. So they have a mortgage on the property of 200,000. They want to sell the property to you for 350, and you've ran your numbers and you've agreed to the 350 because at 350 you're buying a property with about 100, 150, $200,000 in equity. So it's a good deal. The way you work that is you take over the $200,000 mortgage, you do a subject to on a $200,000 mortgage, and then you've got $150,000 left over because your sales agreement is 350. If you take over the 200, where are you going to get the other 150,000? The way you do that is you have the seller take a note. So you have the seller do seller financing. So it's hybrid. So you're doing both. You're doing a subject to for the 200,000, and then you're doing seller financing for the 150,000. Any questions on that, you guys? That's the hybrid method. And a lot of the deals that we actually run across are hybrid. So Rosalind, the benefit for both parties on seller financing is, well, the benefit for the buyer is they don't have to go out and get a loan. That's a huge benefit. For the seller, it just depends on the situation. Maybe they can't sell it because of the condition, or they can't sell it for the amount. I might buy a property a little higher than I normally would as an investor if they're willing to play ball with me. And so I might buy it a little higher if they're willing to do some type of seller financing, even if it's hybrid. Because at the end of the day, I didn't have to go out and get a loan. And over a period of time, the market's going to catch up, and that's going to be a good deal for me. And so that's basically the benefit of it. All right, hard money loans. I think we talked about this already. Early in my career, that's all I would do is hard money loans. I had relationships with a bunch of hard money lenders, and to be honest with you, I still do. A hard money lender is basically the same as a private lender, but a hard money lender has turned their business, their practice into a bona fide business. They've turned it into a bona fide business. That's what a hard money lender is. And so I would buy properties, sometimes, or most of the time, well, I would buy the property and get the acquisition and the rehab costs from the hard money lender. I would get the acquisition and the rehab from the hard money lender. Hard money is short-term financing. You can close those in like 2 weeks. And then I would use a private lender to put up the money for closing costs and to get me started with my first draw. And I needed that money because the lender is not going to lend to me until after the first draw, after the work in the first draw is completed. And so I wanted to flip properties, and I did so very successfully without putting up any of my own money. And so using a hard money lender for acquisition and rehab, and then using a private lender to pull up the rear to pay for your closing costs and your to get you started with your first draw until they pay the first draw is the way to go. And so as a practice, that's what I did for many, many years. And so I was flipping properties primarily in DC without putting up any of my own money. And so when the house would sell, I would obviously pay back the hard money lender. I would pay back the private lender. And then, of course, the rest is my profit. I think Dana had a question. For seller financing, did you say that owner takes out a loan? No. The owner takes out a loan on paper. They don't go to the bank and take out a loan. It's all done on paper because they don't owe any money. And so you just draw up or sell a financing contract, of which I have, and just on paper, those are the loan terms. But they're not going out borrowing money. It's all done on paper. All right, private money lenders. I think we've talked enough about private money lenders. Okay. So I think we can skip over this slide. We've talked a lot about private lending, unless you guys have questions about it. All right, structuring creative financing deals. I think the key to structuring these deals is just having the right contracts. And so you've got to have a subject to contract, which is different from a wholesale contract, which is different from a novation contract. And so you just have to have access to the right contracts. And I think that once you have access to the right contracts, it begins to be a lot easier. If you're wanting to do some of these deals, I'm happy to do some along with you so that you don't get it wrong. And I've seen people get it wrong. You want to identify the right property, so you want to do your due diligence, run the Mayo formula, negotiate terms directly with the seller or the lender, consider the exit strategies. Are you going to hold the property, flip the property, buy it and then refinance the property? What are you going to do with the property? Honestly, it's either you're going to hold the property or flip the property. Always conduct your thorough due diligence, title search, property condition, all those kinds of things, and create a win-win situation for both you and the seller. Any questions, you guys? All right. So this is a property, a 3-unit that I had in Baltimore. It was seller financing with a lease option. And so what I did on this one was I had the seller actually hold the financing for me, but instead of taking title to the property, I just did a lease option, because at the time it was just quicker. It was less risk. The property needed a lot of work. I did a lease option for a year, and then after the year, I moved forward with the seller financing. So for the first year, I did a lease option. It was all done in writing, and then in the second year through to like the 10th year, I did seller financing, and then eventually paid them off. Um, Low down payment, creative financing. Whenever I find a property, that's the first thing I think about, you guys, is how can I find this? How can I purchase this property without having to go to the bank? And that's where I want you guys to start thinking, how I want you guys to start thinking. Some pitfalls to avoid: over leveraging yourself with too much debt. Don't buy too many properties at once. I've done that before. It's not a good feeling. Take your time, do one deal at a time. Failing to have an exit strategy. Before you go into a deal, know what your exit strategy is. Are you going to hold the property? Or are you going to flip the property? Whatever it is, hopefully with the creative financing, you can start holding more. And I know some of you guys are interested in buying these properties using creative financing to live in them. So I did that. And so you guys can do that too. Ignoring property inspections. You got to do your due diligence, you guys. Not properly vetting private lenders. I've had private lenders that wanted to lend to me for like a year. After 6 months, they needed their money back. And so you want to try to use what's called accredited investors. People that are serious, people that have a net worth of, I think it's 250,000, accredited investors. They're not understanding the legal implications. So you do want to do your due diligence, you guys. All right, so some tools for success. Like I said before, number one, and it's not on here, is you have to have the right documentation. You've got to have the right documentation. You've got to have the right contracts. That's the biggest thing. You've got to have your real estate investment calculators, joint networking groups. We have a networking group. Educational materials, books, podcasts, webinars. Everything that I'm teaching is on the internet, you guys. But the difference is I'm here. And so I can help you, and I'm more than happy to help you. Partnering with experienced investors and mentors. That's the biggest thing. And then local real estate attorneys, and title companies. We have smart settlements that they're very, very investor friendly. And Evelyn there, she can write up whatever is needed. I know some of you guys have used her. Whatever is needed, she can do land contracts for subject twos. Whatever is needed, she can write that up. They're very learned on the investing side. All right, in conclusion, creative financing offers flexibility and opens doors to more investment opportunities. Start by identifying the strategies that align with your goals. Network and build relationships. You guys got to do that. Networking is the key. You guys ready to learn more? You can attend upcoming webinars. We try to do a webinar every Thursday. And so you can attend our webinars and visit our websites. Any questions, you guys? I went through that information pretty quickly, which is good. I think you guys have it. Any questions? You guys ready to start using some creative financing strategies? All right, here's how you can contact me. You can go to my scheduler, gbschedule.com. You can go there. That's my scheduler. You can follow me on my Instagram, Greg Bennett Invest. And if you're not part of our free community, here's the link for our free community. That's the link for that. We are offering a 4-week course, the 28th of October. I'll actually see if I can put the link in the chat. So I've put the link in the chat. So we are offering, if you want to go into more detail on creative financing or anything else, we're going to be talking about why DC is such an emerging market, the best investment strategies in the DMV, how to find your deals, and financing. Part of the financing is the creative financing, but the financing. And so we would love to see you guys there. These webinars are not enough. I want you guys to start taking your business to another level. It's a live 4-day course. It's just $197. Just $197. The link is in the chat.